What if the most dangerous person in your workplace is not the loud one, not the angry one, and not even the obvious bully, but the person everyone praises, trusts, and quietly follows without question? What if the reason your confidence slowly erodes, your instincts feel confused, and your workplace feels emotionally exhausting, has nothing to do with workload, deadlines, or pressure, but instead has everything to do with personality patterns that operate beneath conscious awareness? Because some people do not compete at work by working harder. They compete by manipulating perception, emotion, and power structures. And they do it so subtly that by the time you feel something is wrong, you are already caught inside the system they designed. This is where the Dark Triad enters the office environment, not as villains with obvious red flags, but as professionals who understand how to exploit human psychology without ever raising suspicion. The Dark Triad refers to 3 personality traits that thrive in competitive environments: Narcissism, Machiavellianism, and Psychopathy. And while they overlap, each one plays a different psychological game. A narcissist feeds on admiration, validation, and status, and they require constant external confirmation that they are superior, special, or indispensable. A Machiavellian feeds on strategy, manipulation, and long-term control, and they are willing to sacrifice relationships, ethics, and truth if it secures advantage. A psychopath feeds on dominance and stimulation, and they experience little emotional resistance when harming others, especially if it benefits them or simply relieves boredom. In the workplace, these traits rarely appear in extreme forms at first, because evolution has taught them that survival depends on camouflage, charm, and timing. That is why your first interaction with them often feels impressive rather than alarming, because they present as confident, articulate, decisive, and unusually calm under pressure. The narcissist will often arrive with grand stories, bold visions, and an immediate need to position themselves as exceptional, even if subtly disguised as team leadership or high standards. They will speak in a way that constantly references achievement, recognition, or uniqueness, while simultaneously dismissing or minimizing the contributions of others without appearing openly hostile. Over time, you may notice that conversations with them somehow always return to their image, their success, or their struggles, even when the topic originally had nothing to do with them. The Machiavellian, on the other hand, rarely seeks attention directly, because their power comes from invisibility rather than admiration. They observe before they act, mapping alliances, rivalries, weaknesses, and emotional triggers long before making a single move. They often position themselves as helpful, reasonable, or neutral, while quietly collecting information that later becomes leverage. You may notice that they know things they were never explicitly told, or that they always seem to arrive just in time to influence decisions without appearing responsible for them. The psychopath is the hardest to identify early, because they often present as calm, efficient, and emotionally unreactive in environments where stress overwhelms others. They may appear fearless in conflict, unaffected by criticism, and strangely comfortable with chaos, because emotional consequences simply do not register the same way for them. At first, this emotional flatness can be mistaken for strength or professionalism, but over time, it reveals itself through patterns of callousness, impulsive risk-taking, or enjoyment of others' discomfort. What makes the Dark Triad so dangerous at work is not individual behaviors, but the cumulative psychological impact they have on teams, culture, and perception. They distort reality gradually, not by force, but by repetition, suggestion, and emotional manipulation that makes people doubt their own instincts. You may start questioning whether you are too sensitive, too dramatic, or too paranoid. because the environment feels subtly hostile without any clear incident to point to. That confusion is not accidental, because psychological destabilization makes people easier to control, less likely to challenge authority, and more dependent on external validation. As time passes, the workplace begins to feel emotionally asymmetrical, because effort, honesty, and cooperation no longer produce the same outcomes they once did. You may notice that credit flows upward toward the same individuals, while blame flows downward toward those with less power. The narcissist ensures this by rewriting narratives, taking ownership of success while reframing failures as the fault of incompetence, misunderstanding, or disloyalty. They are masters of impression management, meaning they care less about reality and more about how reality is perceived by those with authority. This is why they often behave differently, depending on who is watching, appearing generous and supportive in public, while becoming dismissive or cruel in private. The Machiavellian amplifies this imbalance by quietly positioning themselves between people, becoming the gatekeeper of information, access, or resources. They may encourage conflict indirectly, feeding different versions of the same story to different people, knowing that confusion weakens collective resistance. Over time, colleagues stop trusting each other, not realizing that the mistrust itself is being engineered. The psychopath accelerates this decay by pushing boundaries without remorse, testing what they can get away with, and escalating once they confirm there are no consequences. They may violate norms, intimidate subtly, or make reckless decisions that place others at risk while remaining emotionally untouched by the fallout. What unites all three traits is a profound lack of empathy, not in the sense that they cannot understand emotions, but in the sense that emotions do not restrain them. They understand feelings cognitively, like tools, rather than experiencing them as moral limits. This allows them to simulate concern convincingly while remaining internally detached. If you pay close attention, you may notice moments where their reactions do not match the emotional weight of the situation, such as smiling during discomfort or remaining indifferent during crises. Another warning sign is how they respond to accountability, because genuine people feel discomfort when confronted with harm they caused, while Dark Triad personalities feel irritation at being challenged. They may deflect, minimize, gaslight, or attack the credibility of the person raising concerns, shifting focus away from behavior and toward character assassination. Over time, this creates a culture where speaking up feels risky, exhausting, or pointless. The most dangerous part is that high-pressure corporate environments often reward these traits because short-term results can mask long-term damage. Confidence is mistaken for competence. Decisiveness is mistaken for wisdom, and emotional detachment is mistaken for leadership strength. This is why Dark Triad personalities often rise quickly, leaving a trail of burnout, confusion, and disillusionment behind them. People leave jobs not because of the work itself, but because of the psychological environment created by these individuals. The stress you feel may not come from tasks, but from constant emotional vigilance, uncertainty, and self-doubt. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward reclaiming clarity, because awareness disrupts manipulation. Once you begin to see the pattern, the power dynamic starts to shift, because Dark Triad personalities rely on invisibility, not confrontation. They thrive when people internalize blame and externalize confusion, believing the problem lies within themselves rather than the system. Your goal is not to expose or change them, because confrontation often feeds their need for control, attention, or dominance. Your goal is to protect your psychological boundaries, document reality, and disengage emotionally where possible. This means separating your sense of self-worth from their validation, approval, or criticism. It means keeping records of conversations, decisions, and expectations, not out of paranoia, but out of self-preservation. It means refusing to overshare personal vulnerabilities that can later be weaponized. Emotionally, it means recognizing when a reaction is being provoked intentionally and choosing not to provide the response they seek. Narcissists crave admiration. Machiavellians crave leverage, and psychopaths crave stimulation, so depriving them of emotional fuel weakens their influence. This does not mean becoming cold or withdrawn, but becoming grounded, observant, and strategic. You also begin to notice how your body responds around them, because intuition often registers danger before logic can articulate it. Chronic tension, exhaustion, or dread in specific interactions is not weakness, but information. When multiple people independently experience the same discomfort, the problem is rarely individual sensitivity. Understanding the Dark Triad allows you to stop personalizing dysfunction and start contextualizing it. You realize that the confusion, fatigue, and emotional strain were not signs of incompetence, but signals of psychological pressure. This awareness restores agency because clarity breaks the spell of manipulation. Ultimately, the most powerful defense against the Dark Triad is not aggression, but discernment. When you can see the game, you no longer have to play it. And when you stop playing, their influence over you quietly begins to collapse. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or eye-opening, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more practical psychology insights, self-awareness tools, and mind-sharpening advice. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.